Hello, Miracle Warriors. I am so excited to be able to do this, to put together a little audio about the topics that came up or that were in my, at least, outline to address in the first session, our first live session for Miracle Warriors. So the topic was miracles and becoming a miracle warrior. So basically talking about what all that means. You know, what is a miracle and what does it mean to be a warrior? So we started off with talking about what is a miracle. And the text, the metaphysical and spiritual text, A Course in Miracles, is clearly all about miracles. But a miracle is actually just a shift in perception from fear to love. That's it. Sounds little, but it's actually quite huge. So, what do we do with that? You know, with this idea of a miracle and what is fear and what is love. So let's talk about fear. So in A Return to Love, which is by Marianne Williamson, she is a teacher and student of A Course in Miracles, and so her book is really worth reading, especially if you're interested in what it's like for somebody to go through A Course in Miracles and apply it to real life situations. But she talks about fear quite a bit. And so when we're talking about fear, we're talking about the ego. And by ego, we're meaning that, and not necessarily from the Freudian sense, but from more of a Buddhist perspective of who we think we are, who we think we should be. And another way to think about fear are like judgment thoughts, judgment about what's good and bad and right and wrong. Or when there's blame or attack, those are definitely judgment thoughts. Or defensiveness, when we're angry, that's really coming from a place of fear and fear of separateness. That's part of what this is all about. And in our second session, we're going to talk a lot about what is fear more specifically and how to clear it out. But for now, we'll just remind ourselves that fear is coming from a fear of separateness, and in that we can feel like a victim, or we feel like there's lack, like I'm not enough, or there isn't enough out there for me. And this lack, feeling not good enough, keeps us small, which is a big problem because we're here to make big things happen. So that's the short story on fear. So now when we're talking about love, what is love? And probably throughout the course of Miracle Warriors, you'll be hearing me talk about love in a lot of different ways. So for today, keeping it short and simple, we'll just use some words that can maybe bring a concept to mind of what love is. So it's like our essence, you know, what's at our core. Maybe it's connected to something bigger than us. So for you, that might be spirit or God or a soul. Love is also what's for the best interest of me and the world. So again, you know, fear is that separateness, and love is a reminder that we're all one. And that oneness is really important when we're trying to be miracle warriors. And now we have to remind ourselves that we lost our way. Because if we were always coming from a place of love, we wouldn't necessarily have to talk about fear and how fear is getting in our way and making life harder for us and feels bad. You know, that's how we know that we're in fear, by the way, is that it feels bad in our body. And the emotions come up that feel like frustration, irritation, anger. It's a tension, or we're feeling constricted in our body, versus that openness and willingness and even an excitement, even in the midst of challenges. You know, that's coming from love. So we lost our way. So domestication is something that Don Miguel Ruiz talks about. And it's really this idea of basic human psychology, you know, that we needed love, attention, and affection unconditionally from our parents or our caregivers growing up. And we learned to seek approval because rejection was scary, and actually it would mean that we wouldn't survive. So we started adjusting and adapting and taking on our parents' views, our caretakers' views of what's right, what's wrong, what's socially acceptable, but also ourself in the world. So we started creating beliefs, and a lot of these beliefs were out of fear. And maybe you can think about that, back to your own childhood and the messages that you received about yourself in the world that feel small, constricted, even like a victim, or like we always need to be watching out for things. And so from here, we heal. And that's a huge part of being a miracle warrior, is that we're here to heal. And of course, in Miracles really talks extensively about this. And by the way, when I say we're here to heal, we're here to heal as in ourselves, and we're here to heal as in others around us. And we don't even have to try to heal others around us. Just by healing ourselves and liberating ourselves, we start creating miracles around us, and other people start seeing that and wanting it for themselves. So it's not something that we have to seek out doing. It just kind of naturally happens. And these are called holy instances, these shifts, when we can heal, when we're here to heal and a miracle comes into our life and we choose love over fear, then we are healing. So this is a good reminder that, it's not our circumstances that need to change. It's our minds that need to change. When we change our mind, we change our life. And as a miracle warrior, really it comes down to simply having a willingness to change our mind and to see things differently. Challenges, or, we could even call them battles, or whatever you want to call it. But when these challenges come into our life, seeing them as opportunities to see things differently, having that willingness to change our mind, that is becoming a warrior. And having our focus on healing and love and constantly seeking out the loving option, that's really becoming a warrior. And that doesn't mean that we're passive and we just let bad things happen, not by any means. Sometimes love means being assertive or putting up boundaries or being an advocate for ourselves or for other people. But when we're connected inward, which we'll talk about later in our sessions, but when we're connected inward, we learn how to do this and how to stay connected to that. And when we are connected to that place of a willingness to come from love and see love and change our mind, when we're being a warrior, it's really like taking an oath. It's like taking an oath to live life differently on a specific path. So those are the topics that came up, or at least were in my agenda. Many more things came up during the live session, of course. Specific examples from my life, and kind of digressed into other topics as well, other stories and examples. But those were the main bullet points to remember from our live session number 1, Miracles and Becoming a Miracle Warrior. Thank you. Bye.